Today we are looking at, I was looking at Matthew chapter 10, particularly thought about verse 14, which we sometimes hear and think various things about it. Jesus is talking about the 12 that he has sent out to do ministry and do discipleship, proclaim the good news, cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers. And then he says, as you enter the house, if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. If not worthy, let your peace return to you. If anyone, and here's 14, if anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave that house or town. Now, for the longest time, I always believed that was a word of judgment against the town, that shaking the dust from your feet meant y'all are in big trouble because you would not receive the word of God that came from me, and therefore you're gonna burn in hell. And indeed, Jesus even says, I tell you, it'll be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. So there is this sense of judgment in the midst of that, but also I think there's something else that we miss sometimes in that phrase, shaking the dust from our feet. When they shake the dust from their feet, another thing that they do is they let go of the dust of the town so that they don't carry it with them into the next town where they go. Now, symbolically, that could be the way in which we are called to leave the past behind us. Leave our past failures behind us. Leave our past worries and woes behind us and move on forward, trusting God for the next thing. In other words, there may be judgment for that town, but also letting go of the outcome. Perhaps part of the wisdom in Jesus' words is the wisdom of when they shook the dust from their feet. They could say, all right, I'm turning you over to God. I'm turning this over to God. I can't do anything more about this. And of course, there's always something in our lives that we have no control over whatsoever. And there are certain situations where we do what we can do in a situation, and then when we're done, we have to just walk away knowing that we've done all we can do, and we have to just let go of the outcome. We've got to leave the results to God. So perhaps that's the wisdom in Jesus' words, shake the dust from your feet. Not just shaking the dust from your feet in judgment, but shaking the dust from your feet as a means by which we can take the next step without dragging that sense of failure or that sense of loss with us into whatever our next encounter with God happens to be. So I think the invitation of those words is an invitation not of judgment, but instead an invitation of hope and an invitation of trust in God. So we're trusting God that when we shake the dust from our feet and let it go, that God's going to take care of it. God's going to be in charge. God's going to do what God needs to do with that situation, with that circumstance, with those people, whatever it may be. And we turn it over to God and say, it's yours. I've done what I can do. It's yours. So in the midst of all that we're dealing with today, with this pandemic that we live within, that's probably a good thing to be reminded of, that we have to shake the dust from our feet in all these situations that we find ourselves in and be willing to trust God with the outcome, believing that God is at work even though we can't see what God is doing, even though we got no clue about what God's doing, but believing that God is at work and God's will be done in time if we'll just let God be in charge. So may we be willing to shake the dust from our feet in situations where we need to let go and let God. May we be willing to shake those, the dust of our failures, the dust of our losses, the dust of our disappointments. May we shake the dust of all of those things off of our feet and move forward into the life that God is calling us to live into. We'll be blessed, and God will be with us in all those cases. We love you. We miss you. if there's anything you need, you know that we are here, and we will see some of you on Sunday with the outdoor service, and by Holy Cross Day, God willing, and the creek don't rise, we will be having an indoor service at 10:30 as well. So look for that coming up. Blessings to you all.